The fight for John Denver carries on as Texas Tech will head to Morgantown in search of their fifth straight victory over the Mountaineers on Saturday and to open up their Big 12 slate in 2023. Hey, how's it going, everybody? I am R.C. Maxfield here with the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're giving you free daily videos here on the channel pertaining to Texas Tech football and all things Big 12. So if you want game previews, 3 keys to the game, the latest breaking news when it comes to conference realignment and the Big 12 in general, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button to stay in the know right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. All right, before we get into today's preview, let's start out with the question. If you're new here, this is what we do around here. We want to get you guys involved. Who you got? Leave your score prediction for Texas Tech at West Virginia. We'll talk about the odds in terms of the spread, the total over under in today's video. We'll also look at injuries and everything in between in terms of key matchups. But before we get into it, let me know your score prediction down on the pinned comment below. All right, let's set the scene for this one. Morgantown, West Virginia, right? Saturday, going to be a mid-afternoon game, kickoff scheduled for 2:30 Central Time, obviously 3:30 Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN Plus. Barf if you want to with that. I know I did a little bit, but to some degree, I really can't blame them, specifically on the Texas Tech side and how they've looked at times this year. Let's jump into the injury part of things, though, and we got to start with the big one pertaining to the Mountaineers, and it is their starting quarterback, Garrett Greene. He sustained an ankle injury in the backyard brawl against Pitt last week. To their credit, well, West Virginia beat Pitt at home last week, even with a hobbled Garrett Greene leaving with that ankle, and right now, according to SI, he is unclear to play in this one at the time of this recording. So you could potentially have a redshirt freshman starting this game for the Mountaineers, and we'll talk about him a little bit later on. As for the Red Raiders, when it comes to the injury front, a lot of guys returning. You got running back Cameron Valdez. You got Coy Aiken at the wide receiver spot. Tyler Owens, the safety. Joseph Adedire on the edge. Tariq Matthews at the linebacker spot. That's big. And you also get Baylor Cupp back as well. Remember, Mason Tharp had a pretty good game last week as well, and, well, should have had a touchdown, but there was a penalty to call it back. So Texas Tech is really getting healthy right now, are the Red Raiders, and that's a good sign going into conference play and a part of their schedule where, if we're being honest, the next 3 games, they should at least win 2 of them against West Virginia, Houston, and then Baylor, right? They should win 2 of those. But the big thing in this one when it comes to the injury front doesn't pertain to the Red Raiders. It will be at the quarterback spot for the Mountaineers. That is the position to watch first and foremost for the Mountaineers, and that's where we'll transition first right now in terms of the player/position groups to watch for the Mountaineers. And again, it all starts with the quarterback position. Listen, they don't throw the football a lot. We'll talk about that in just a second. But Garrett Greene, he's a guy that personally, I'll be honest with you, I've been high on. But I think Neil Brown in West Virginia uses his skill set very well in this offense. And what I mean by that is I think of him more as a runner first. He's a solid passer, right? But he really, really brings a different element when it comes down to the ground aspect of it. Marchiol will be the guy that starts if it isn't Greene, okay? So you got a redshirt freshman quarterback probably making his first start for the Mountaineers if Garrett Greene is unavailable, right? Simple and plain. So you got that. And then Marchiol, I mean, my goodness, we'll have the Chandler, Arizona aspect of this with Tyler Shuck starting for the Red Raiders as well. I'm sure no one will mention that on the broadcast. Sarcasm. All right, moving on. I talked about the running game for the Mountaineers a little bit. It all starts with C.J. Donaldson Jr. in the backfield. This stat blew me away, okay? West Virginia, I knew, loved to run the football, but damn, they're taking it to a different level. We're almost talking about 3 times the amount of rushing attempts as they have passing attempts on the season. 189 rushing attempts to 70 total passing attempts on the year so far for the Mountaineers through 3 games. Yes, you heard that right. Listen, Donaldson Jr. averages around 5 yards a carry, technically just under it, 4.9 and some change, but he is a really good running back. But it doesn't stop there with the Mountaineers. You're going to have to know the names of Anderson and White as well. They've got some really good runners there. And again, if Garrett Greene is available to go, That's somebody you need to know when it comes down to the Mountaineers as well, when it comes to running the football. On the defensive side for the Mountaineers, there's a couple guys that really stand out at the linebacker spot. You got LK, and then you've got Trey out there for the Mountaineers. And listen, I'm a big linebacker fan. Love a good linebacker, and Mountaineers got two of them, right? They lead the Mountaineers in tackles, no surprise there, but they also lead them in QB hurries. Trey is a guy, and Trey Latham, is a guy that leads the team with 6 QB hurries on the season. But in the secondary, the name to know is Benny Bishop Jr. He already has 2 picks on the year for the Mountaineers in the Fighting Neil Browns. As for the Texas Tech side, listen, until this isn't a discussion, I'm going to have the quarterback position in there. And I know Joey McGuire came out and said, hey, Tyler Shuck is QB1. It almost feels like that's for the time being, in my opinion right now. I have to wonder how short has that leash got for Tyler Shuck. And again, Joey McGuire has said he's QB1. He was adamant about it after the Tarleton State game, He also said this was their plan going into Tarleton. And to be honest with you, makes a lot of sense, right? Get Baron Morton some reps in game. But you also have to wonder, and you have to know at the same time, that Joe McGuire heard the crowd when Baron Morton came in. Simple and plain, right? So there's an element to that. I wonder how short that leash now is for Tyler Shuck at QB1. You saw it at the bottom of the screen there, the Texas Tech offensive line. Simple and plain, you have to be better than you were in your only road game of the season up in Wyoming, now in your second road game of the season in Morgantown. I get it. It was game 1, right? Maybe there was some, getting the nerves out. First game that 5 group has really played together in live game action, right? I get that aspect of it, but you have to be better at the tackle spots. I think Caleb Rogers has been solid this year. Monroe Mills has struggled at times, right? And that's why Ty Buchanan's going to get some run, according to Joey McGuire, here on some series against the Mountaineers. So I think the Texas Tech offensive line has to be dramatically better, and more specifically in the run game. You're going to have to run the football against the Mountaineers, okay? Simple and plain. You're going to have to be better at that. You were last week, and to some degree you were against Oregon, albeit not really because you didn't see Taj Brooks. It was more of a Tyler Shuck game when it came to the run game for the Red Raiders. But you have to be better when it comes to the rushing attack and really holding your block if you're a Texas Tech offensive lineman. As for the last position to watch, staying on the offensive side for Texas Tech, because I actually like the Texas Tech defense in this matchup, and we'll talk about them here more in just a second. But the wide receivers, separation. You have to get some of that against the West Virginia Mountaineers. And listen, play action is going to be your friend here. Listen, Jordan Brown has done a good job, maybe not consistently getting separation, but he's arguably the best guy at it right now for Texas Tech. And then Jerron Bradley's probably second. But you got to get guys like Miles Price in space. And I know what some people are going to say, Tyler Shuck has missed Miles Price in space. Well, Miles Price has just flat out dropped some footballs in space too. So there's that, right? So you got to be consistent with it. And the times that they get space, it's either a good or a bad thing, right? Like there's no in between in terms of, hey, this is going to be a substantial gain for the Red Raiders. It almost feels like the good is pushed to the side and it's just bad, where it's either a drop or Tyler Shuck just completely misses the read, right? So, and that's happened very rarely this year in terms of getting separation. So you're going to have to do that. I think the play action game is going to be huge for the Red Raiders in this one. And separation in the play action game is going to be a point of emphasis for Zach Kitley and crew this week. All right, let's jump into the must-watch matchup of the week for me. It is going to be the Texas Tech defensive front against the West Virginia offensive line. Simple and plain, in my opinion. If the Red Raiders can't stop the run against the Mountaineers, it's going to be a long day. Again, 189 rushing attempts on the year for the Mountaineers. 70 pass attempts. You know they're going to run the football, and if they have their backup quarterback in there, they're probably going to do it more, and they're going to try and use play action, right? So you have to be able to stop the run and make the Mountaineers one-dimensional and really put a redshirt freshman who played solid against Pitt, right? He had 70 yards passing, right? Like he did okay. But let's face it, that is not their strong suit. And if you can put them in a position, if you were Texas Tech, and put the Mountaineers in a position where they have to pass more than they're comfortable, it's going to start with the defensive line and making sure that they contain the edge and allow their linebackers to plug the A, B, and C gaps and make it a nightmare for the Mountaineers when it comes to the running game. All right, let's talk about the odds. Texas Tech, as of right now, is minus 6.5-point favorites. I feel like that's because there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to Garrett Greene and if he is going to play for the Mountaineers this week. As for the total over-under, it stands at 54.5 right now. My favorite bet on the week is the Texas Tech money line, and the reason being is this. I think Texas Tech is the more talented team. I don't think that that's a shock to anybody. But at the same time, West Virginia is going to stay in this game until midway through the late third quarter, I think. I think, again, Texas Tech is the more talented team. They struggle on the road. They seem to do okay out in Morgantown for some reason. Again, they're looking for their 5th straight victory over the Mountaineers. 2 of them have come on the road, right? So you look at what Texas Tech has to do. I think they pull away in terms of go up 2 possessions, and then it gets kind of close when it comes to West Virginia, and they have maybe a backdoor cover late in this one. But as for my score prediction, and again, let me know yours down in the comments below, I have Texas Tech winning 33-25 out in Morgantown and getting their first Big 12 victory of the season and going back to 500 on the year for the Fighting Joey Maguires as they go back to Lubbock and welcome, well, a familiar face in Donovan Smith. But again, one more time, let me know your score prediction for Texas Tech at West Virginia. A lot can change, specifically if Garrett Greene is healthy in this one, but I want to hear your score prediction on the pinned comment down below. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button for free daily Texas Tech videos all year long. We're giving you game previews, 3 keys to the game, film breakdown, and much more. And the best part about it, it's 100% free. So join the fastest growing Texas Tech community here on YouTube and hit that subscribe button right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.